Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. I hope you are having a fantastic day so far. My day is going pretty good, although the weather is a bit crap. It is howling with wind and rain, and it's cold and miserable today, and I do not enjoy it one little bit. Which brings me to today's video. 5 winter objects are only used after moving to America. Now, I am still clueless when it comes to this whole winter survival thing here in Slovakia, so hopefully this video will teach me a few bits and bobs on how to keep a bit warmer or make things a bit more efficient here in the winter time. Because at the moment I'm struggling big time. Anyway, before we get into today's video, if you haven't done so already, please make sure you hit the subscribe button, and if you're feeling extra frisky on this Frisky Friday, you may as well give the video a like as well. I do have a Buy Me a Coffee page and a Patreon page linked down in the description if you want to help support the channel. That'll be freaking awesome. I upload onto Patreon every single day as well, and without further ado, let's get into 5 winter objects are only used after moving to America.
In England, I've never known weather that would sort of necessitate this kind of headgear. There's wind, but there's not sort of wind.
He's wearing a short sleeve as well.
Wind chill of minus a billion.
Yeah, the wind sucks when it's cold.
Hello, I'm Lawrence, and I'm on a quest to uncover all of the memos that Britain and America lost in the pond, and one of those memos pertains to the weather. Of course, the weather in both countries at this time of year gets a little cold, and we as human beings have to survive. In order to do so, we don't just shut ourselves in our houses and stick the heating on high. I mean, we do that. In fact, I mostly do that. But there are other ways in which we survive, and that is through the use of winter objects. Growing up in England, I will tell you now, there were certain winter objects with which I was familiar. You know, sledges instead of sleds, or toboggans. Did the same thing, pretty much. And just thin woolen gloves and snowballs. They're not an option.
That's something I can't get right, is gloves. I suffer big time with my hands, and I've still not, after this is my 4th winter here, I've not been able to get the right kind of gloves to keep my hands warm. So if you guys have got any recommendations for some awesome gloves that will keep my hands warm, please stick them down in the comments, or email me a link or something, please, because I really need some decent gloves.
That's just snow congealed. But after moving to America, I realized there were actually a plethora of different objects I'd never encountered before because I never needed them. And so what we're going to do today is we are going to go down 1 to 5, actually no, in reverse order, 5 to 1, and look at the very objects about which I'm speaking. Now, before we do get underway here, just a quick disclaimer and a recap. The disclaimer being that some of these objects may well turn up in England. It's just that I didn't have cause to use them back in England, and I don't think that I was an outlier in that regard. Whereas the objects I'm about to talk about are actually quite commonplace here in the United States as opposed to in England. Okay, so that's the disclaimer. And the reminder is, when I first moved to the United States, I moved to the American Midwest. Very specifically, I moved to the middle of Indiana. I've since moved on to Chicago. Of course, in both places and in much of the northern United States, snow and cold weather is absolutely paramount. That's probably not the right word. There's an abundance of it, shall we say. And we'll be looking at that as compared to the UK in a future video. But without further ado, let's take a look at 5 winter objects I didn't use until I moved to America.
I wonder if I use any of them here. I use a snow shovel.
So shovels absolutely exist in the United Kingdom. It's just that they're usually used for shoveling dirt. And because of the sort of rare event that is snow, you won't usually find somebody purchasing what is referred to as a snow shovel that's sold as a snow shovel. Because there are differences between a snow shovel and a regular shovel. Yeah? It's usually size, because everything is bigger in America, and snow shovels are no different. And of course, snow itself.
I use a snow shovel, but the problem with our one, we've got an aluminium one, which is really old. Aluminum. There you go. And it doesn't, like, you know, when you hit on the driveway, for example, or something, if there's any bumps or anything, if you hit it with that freaking aluminium one, it just stops and like digs you in the ribs. I used the neighbor's plastic one last year, and I'm going to be buying one this year because it was so much better than that crappy aluminum one. Aluminium.
It's no different, at least here in the north. It was in my first winter here. My brother-in-law showed me how to use one.
Yeah, one like that I used.
Self-explanatory. Does what it says on the tin. Just grab it by the handle and the whatever that bit is, the neck, and do that and throw it. It's a lot of hard labour. Nobody tells you that going in. And my brother-in-law didn't tell me that going in, and I left with cramp in my arm. Actually, it would have been very useful if you'd have told me about the next entry on this list, you brother. Unfortunately, just like the shovel, I don't have one of those handy to show you because I rent these days. But they are absolutely brilliant. And again, I've only used one once, but it was the absolute coolest machine, literally, because it was filled with snow. But the thing is about it, it's not filled with snow. I mean, it is temporarily, but what you do is you just push it along like this, right through the snow, and it just pushes all of the snow out to the side. It's a bit, usually hits family members, brother-in-law,
or your neighbour's garden.
I did apologise at the time. and I still haven't spoken to him since. But they are absolutely amazing. We just don't have cause to use them much in the UK. You may see members of the council.
We don't use. If the winter's anything to go by, the last 4 years or 4 winters, 3 years that I've been here, we wouldn't need one of those because we do have snow, but it's not been. We haven't had much to the point where we need something like that. Although I would love one, even just to do the driveway rather than having to shovel it. It looks freaking awesome and it's quicker and easier.
Council using them, but not actual human beings. So that was quite a revelation to realise that a lot of people had snowblowers just hanging around in their sheds. So, and the sheds were covered in snow too, so you had to use the snow shovel just to get into them. To get to the snowblower, it defeated the purpose entirely until you did the garden. Both of these come in handy when you're just trying to get through the snow and to your actual car. We experienced this for about 8 years when we owned a car while living in Indiana, and I will tell you, one of the worst jobs during winter is shoveling the snow away from the vehicle just so you can get out.
And scraping
sometimes it gets 2 feet deep and you can't even see your car, much less get in it. And then once you've cleared all that away, you've still got to contend with the ice on the windscreens. And you can either turn on the car, heat it all the way up and just sit for an hour until it all melts. That's not happening. Or something else you could do if you were in a rush, which was me most days because I slept through my alarm, is you could scrape all of that ice off with what is known as an ice scraper.
Or an old credit card.
Again, I think they have these in the UK, but they're only used really in very, very extreme circumstances. This is something that you will do multiple times every single winter up here in the Midwest of the United States. I know, I did it, and I got a return to that arm cramp that I got from the shovel. It is just one long winter of arm cramp. I will say this though, there is something quite pleasing about that. If you're wearing the right gloves and it's not too cold.
Yeah, we get back to the gloves again. My hands always suffer when I'm doing that. We've got a nice windscreen scraper now. We used to just use a card, like an old credit card or something in the UK. But here, it's every morning. Every time you leave if you go shopping or something and you're in the shop for a while, you got to come out and scrape the car again. It gets super cold.
Do the ice scraping without gloves because you'll regret it 5 minutes after
even
getting
with
into the
gloves
car.
I regret
but if you've
it.
got gloves on and you're doing that, it is quite cathartic, so long as you don't break the windscreen. Sometimes it feels like you are doing that because you're scraping off basically ice, which can look and sound like glass. And then once you've scraped off all the ice, right, and there's just sort of bits of powdery ice on the windscreen and bits of snow, the best thing then to do is just open the door and slam it, and you just cause this sort of little avalanche on the car. So long as you don't cause an actual avalanche. If you're living in the mountains, just be careful. I mentioned the gloves. It is very important to have good gloves, but equally important while you're wading through all of this snow is our fourth entry.
Winter boots.
I truly didn't believe how bad it was going to get in the Midwest until I actually saw it with my own eyes. So after doing all of the shoveling or the snow blowing or the scraping of the ice,
I've actually got a package that I need to open that I know what it is. Dave Wanger sent me a package. He has sent me some winter boots because I was moaning on the one thing about how my hands and my feet suffer the most in the winter. And I haven't opened it yet, but it's a huge box and he said he was going to send me some winter boots. So I'm really looking forward to wearing them this winter. Hopefully I'll do the unboxing video with the kids soon.
Realised that I'd made the mistake of wearing sneakers in the snow the whole time. Don't do that because there's a number of reasons. Firstly, the snow gets inside your shoe. You don't want that. And also, it's just cold and wet.
It's horrible
all around.
Yeah.
So you need to be able to keep your feet warm. I think that's almost the most important thing because those are the things that are going into the actual snow. So to do that, you have to have one of these. Well, not one. You need two. It would be really silly if you only had one. It's a boot, but look at it. It's bigger than me. And I have to get inside this. It is, you do feel protected. I feel like a foot soldier when I'm wearing this. And I do have another one just for the record. It's right here. Sorry, they've not been cleaned since last week.
I was going to say, they haven't been worn in a while.
To that. Put one of them down because they are cumbersome and heavy. Arm cramp. Again, arm cramp is the thing that happens in winter. But they are absolutely amazing. And they do keep your feet warm. There's absolutely no doubt about that. And if you're ever set upon by an enemy, just kick them between the legs with this and they'll never come after you again. It's really, though, two boots. It's this black boot right there that you see. But inside it is this sort of... I'm going to pull it out. Look at that. It looks like a wrestling boot.
Oh, wow. I've never seen that before.
If somebody comes at you, just pretend you are...
Holy smokes. It's like that thing you put on your windscreen.
I love them. I've had these 2 years. Absolutely need them in Chicago, especially if you're cycling in Chicago. That's nuts. Who does that in the snow? I did last winter. I'm a brave soul. I wouldn't be quite as brave, though, if I didn't have...
I got some really funny looks the first couple years we moved here. The first 2 winters we were here, because I was still running every day then. I would run in the winter, so there'd be like a massive snowstorm and I'd be running. I couldn't miss my run. So I got some really weird looks because no one really runs. I don't think I see many bicycles even in winter here. So I definitely need to get a bicycle though, because I'm not allowed to run anymore apparently, according to the neurologist. So that sucks.
The final entry on this list. So this is a face shield, and
we call that in South Africa balaclava.
Job is that not only does it sort of keep snow off you and things like that, the important thing that it does is it keeps the cold wind, the harsh wind of Chicago off you. It also keeps those people that come at you off you. They'll think you're a Bond baddie and call MI6 or something. I don't know why I'm wearing this. Sorry if it looks terrifying. I'll take it down because there's no wind in here. I don't really need it, and actually it's making it very hard to breathe, which isn't good when you're trying to present a video. But this is one of the best acquisitions I ever made as an athlete here in Chicago. I'm not an athlete. I mean, I ride to work for recreation. I wouldn't be seen dead wearing this in England. There'd be no reason to wear this in England. You know, you don't want to wear one of these while it's raining. That's for sure, because it would just get soaked all round. In England, I've never known weather that would sort of necessitate this kind of headgear. There's wind, but there's not sort of wind that brings along with it a wind chill of -1 billion. I'm trying to think of a scenario in which you would need it. It doesn't quite go with the tweed hat. But
I could do with one of those actually, because when it gets windy here, it is freaking cold. It feels like your face is being cut almost. It's so cold, the wind.
I absolutely
and my nose
love it on
goes
me.
red as
My
hell.
wife loves it on me.
I know.
What do you mean you don't? That's it for this episode. Thank you for joining me here in this new year. No live stream tonight as we would normally have on a Friday.
None of those were really out of this world, or I was expecting so much more. Anyway, the boots. The boots for me are something important, and the gloves. Again, guys, if you've got any recommendations for an awesome pair of gloves to keep my hands warm in the winter, please let me know, because I really suffer with my hands. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have an amazing weekend. I will be uploading throughout the weekend, so you have a good weekend, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace.